everybody, and thank you so much for tuning in to the Travel and Transformation Show with me, your host, Sophia. And my guest today is Belinda David. Now, Belinda is living her best life through early retirement, and she's helping women in their 40s and beyond understand that the best is yet to come. Welcome, Belinda.
Thank you, Sophia, for having me on the show. I'm delighted.
Well, you're so welcome. Now, Belinda and I were talking a little bit before, so I'm going to let you in on that previous conversation. She has started something called Soul Trekker. So, Belinda, can you just tell us a little bit about that and how it came to be?
Yes, sure. So I think I'll go about 2 years before Soul Trader actually started. If anybody else is in my shoes or in my age group, then they may be able to sort of understand this. But one day you look in the mirror and that youth is gone. You know, suddenly you might be a little bit overweight. You've got wrinkles. Your skin's a little bit dull. And, you know, that vibrant, 20-something-year-old has just disappeared. And you walk down the street and everybody's young and vibrant. And suddenly you look at your life and you look at what's happened, and looking after children, looking after a husband. Maybe you have been in a corporate world and you've given yourself to everything else. And so it was at that one day that I looked in the mirror and I thought, I need to get out of this rut. So I bought myself a pair of hiking boots. And I joined a meetup. I got with a group of other hikers, and here I was, and I'd bought a new backpack and that little, a little hydro pack. So I was sucking water through a tube, and I felt like I was really in it. And, off we go, and we're hiking down the road, and we go up this track, and suddenly, somebody says, oh, and we're making our way over there. And I went, over there? What, you mean up there? And honestly, I just about died that first day. Now, I was in a hiking group, so I joined a midweek hiking group, and most of the people in that group were in their 60s, and they could climb that mountain far easier than I. And they weren't even out of breath, and they were talking. And I looked at these men and these women, and I thought, you are so healthy. And so I thought, right, okay, here I am working, I don't know, probably 10, 11 hours a day. I've got children who are just finishing high school. I've got a husband that, I'm cooking, cleaning, the whole business. And I just thought, I really need to change something. And so I did. I started to work less and work more on myself. And by that, I started to hike. And I found that going out into I was very lucky. I actually lived very close to a rainforest, beautiful rainforest with waterfalls, all this sort of thing. It really is something that you'll see in the movies. And I used to go up there into the rainforest, and it was like a giant sponge just sort of zapped all the negative energy and all my stresses away. And I thought, wow, this is really good. So I then decided to go on a multi-day hike. Well, and so that meant buying a tent and working out where I was going and all that sort of thing. And I did it all by myself. And I can remember thinking, I was so proud of myself. And since then, and then a lot of people, all my friends are saying, oh my gosh, you're so brave, and look at you look so healthy, and it's a huge big transformation. Tell me, what have you done? How have you done it? And I then started to document my hikes, and I started to write about how my diet had changed, how my outlook had changed. I was becoming a lot more resilient. I would be walking along the path and see a snake, and I wouldn't be sort of jumping up and down in fear. I'd be right, okay, I'm understanding nature, but also understanding my body. Like when you're hiking, you have to understand your body. Are you hot? Are you cold? Are you tired? Are you thirsty? What's the weather going to be like? Is it getting dark? Are you lost? All that sort of thing. So I learnt resilience. Did I learn it, or was it something that was already learnt at our age, with all the sort of, bringing up a family and that sort of thing. And so then I started Soul Trader because I just had so many other women who were asking me, you know, how did you get into it? Can I come on a hike with you? And all this sort of thing. So I did. And then I just started Soul Trader, which has a huge emphasis on health and safety on the hiking trail. Yeah.
Okay, so, and this is so funny. All of the things you said, and one of the things that just sort of jumped out at me is like, well, I saw a snake on the trail and I didn't jump in fear. And I'm thinking, I'm not sure that I would have been the same. Well, I had a snake incident early in life and it kind of just stuck with me. So as many times as I've tried to face that fear, I don't know that I've completely combated it, but at the same time, I understand that I am in the home of the snake.
Yeah.
Snake is not in my home. I mean, that's a whole other story, but if I'm in the snake's home, there's that part. But again, I don't know that I would not freak out, at least on the inside, Because depending on it, if it's coiled, it's like you don't freak out on the outside.
Yeah.
But tell us where you are because you said you live near a rainforest. So where are you?
I'm actually, right this very moment, I'm in Scotland.
Oh,
So, yes, so I grew up, spent most of my adult life in Australia. I was born in New Zealand, and when I was early 20s, I went and lived in Australia. And just recently, I've based myself in Europe so I can hike all the European trails.
oh, okay.
Yes, yeah.
So you've actually made this such a lifestyle that you've moved to a place where this is something that you can do on a regular basis.
Yes, I now hike for probably about 8 months of the year, and I take 4 months of the year off to write my blogs and work on other businesses and work on myself. I'm teaching myself to code. So I kind of thought I thought Sudoku is boring. I don't understand Sudoku. I'll learn to code. Why not?
Yeah, because that's so much easier. Well, actually, I don't, but you know what? I'm kind of with you. I don't really get Sudoku or Sudoku.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure.
But yeah, I don't quite get it. So yeah, maybe one of the listeners wants to, shout me out and give me a heads up on that. So one of the other things you said was you weren't sure if you were building resilience or if it was already there. It was just showing you that you are resilient in doing those hikes. And so I thought that was interesting because I think many women stop believing in their resilience, even though they're being resilient every day.
Yeah.
But the other thing that you brought up was presence. To me, that's what I heard was presence because you said, I had to check in with my body. So when you're checking in with your body, you have to be present. It's like, am I cold? And then you're really just embodying who you're being.
Yeah.
So because I had another podcast recently and we were talking about how do you know when you are embodied? Because you hear people say, oh, get out of your head, get into your body, and nobody really ever says how.
Yeah.
You're describing is one of the best ways to be embodied and understand what is going on in your body because now you're asking those questions. Am I cold? What's happening in my body? And then I'm sure you're looking at, okay, if I have X amount of miles, kilometers to go, how do my legs feel? How do my feet feel?
Yeah.
Are my feet hurting? Are they warm enough? Are they too hot? Did I take the right socks today? And it sounds like
Yeah.
little
And even
questions like that.
And even more serious ones like, am I hydrated or am I dehydrated or am I overhydrated? And then so there's so much sort of thing in the safety. But when you go back to when you're in your safe, nice home and you've got your yoga studio just down the road and you're cooking a nice meal out of your pantry and all that sort of thing, sometimes you can forget to check in with yourself because everything's just at hand. It's so easy,
You're an
and
autopilot.
and so I find that when I do go hiking and I am out on the trail, it is just me. One of the most impressive hikes for me was when I did the Arctic Circle Trail solo in Greenland. So that was, I think it's about 200 miles. I can't remember exactly how many miles it is, but it's 230 kilometers. So yeah, I think about 230 kilometers. So and I can just remember for 2 days I didn't see one other person. And, and it was just so silent. There's no trees in Greenland. And it was absolute silence because there's no trees, there's no birds. And I saw the odd reindeer, running around and a couple of these, ox mules, which are kind of related to a goat, but they look like mini bison. And I can remember just, the lack of sound and the lack of interaction with any other people and just this sparse, tundra with lakes was just insane. It was really, really quite insane. It was a very insane feeling. Yeah.
So, how do you stay safe hiking with yourself and being so far away? Because I don't know what cell service looks like out there, but if something were to happen, how do you get in touch with anybody?
Okay, so I have a Garmin InReach, which is a little satellite emergency communication device. And I can do preset messages back home to say, hey, I'm safe, everything's okay. I've arrived X, so I can do these preset messages, or you can sort of write more sort of detailed messages. But the first multi-day hike I went on where in overseas was actually around Lake Tahoe. And I can remember sending a message to one of my daughters, oh my God, I've just seen a bear. And I was so excited about seeing this bear. I think it was just really cool. And then and then we went into an area with no cell phone service and my kids didn't hear from me for 2 days.
Oh my gosh, she got eaten by the bear? Did the
I said to them, remember, bad news travels fast. I said,
But I mean, we laugh at that, but happened to you? Had something
yeah,
happen to you? Did you
yeah.
have that satellite thing and is there geolocation on it?
thing and is
That is something happened and you can tell them if you don't hear from me in
you can
X
tell
amount of
them if
time,
you
send
don't
help.
hear from me in
Yeah.
X amount of time.
So
So
basically,
there's two types of emergency communication devices, and you normally see hikers and they've got one little strap to them, and they've got one little strap to them, and you can basically hit a switch, hit a switch, via satellite will go to an
via
SOS
satellite
or
will go
a search
to
and rescue
an SOS
organisation,
or a
and
search
they
and
will
rescue
come and get you.
organisation, and they will come
There's one's a government one type is a government one, and one type is a private one. So, and especially the government one, you hit it anywhere in the world, and it is so accurate within 120 meters of where you are. So, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So note to self, get one of those.
Yeah.
And I have to say, because even cell carriers who promote themselves to, oh, we have the best coverage, blah, blah, blah. And then you get into certain areas and it's like, here's that best coverage. Because I have 0 bars. It's like I'm in a ballroom. I had 0 bars. Where's that best coverage?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there are things like this that I don't know that people actually think about.
Yeah.
Especially when you're going hiking solo, because people usually tell you, don't go hiking solo, take a bus.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I really push that. I'm very, very strict, strong on safety in all of my blogs. And so I push, taking a safety communication device. And, I've actually written a book on health, safety, and hygiene on the trail, where I go into quite a lot of detail about, how to listen to your body to see if you are dehydrated or overhydrated or heat related illnesses and all that sort of thing. So yes, so if anyone's interested, it's free, but it's just a really great resource on health and safety on the trail.
So what's it called and where can they find it?
You can find it on my website, and it's called Hike It Right and Health, Safety, and Hygiene on the Trail.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I guess while we're at it, what's your website?
Oh, soultreader.com. So it's soultreader.com. It would be in the notes. So SOULTREADER. So,
Okay. So yeah, because I'm listening to all this, and I have to ask though, because you started out, you went with this one group, you realized, okay, I'm not as fit as these people who are at that time older than you. So what did you actually change in your life to to step into the identity of a person who is, I am a fit hiker? What did you have to do? And was it a conscious, intentional effort to do it, or did it just sort of subtly happen as you were doing more and more hiking?
it happened as I was doing more and more hiking. It became addictive. I would get up at 3 a.m. So I could get to the top of the pass in the national park by 5 a.m., which was sunrise. Um, we don't have daylight savings in Queensland, so it was kind of like the times sort of and it just became addicted, and I would take my breakfast up there, and I would look out at the vista, and and it has been proven that by looking at a horizon, or like a vista, like looking out over some amazing sunrise or valley or whatever, it has been known to you do psychology, don't you? You've done psychology? Yes. So there's a certain part of your brain that it sort of makes you very happy, and relaxed. And so I'd do this every morning, or every morning that I could. Like on a Saturday morning, I would drive up there at 3 a.m. With my little coffee maker and breakfast, and I'd go up there and I'd watch the sunrise. And everything about hiking just became addictive. I just loved being out in the mountains. I live right next to a beach, and I would prefer to be up in the mountains than the beach. The smell of the damp soil, pushing my legs until they burnt, just everything. And so I started to take, to do less and less in my business. And then I decided that at the end of last year that I would actually stop and take early retirement and just focus fully on this, on Soul Trader. And it was a journey which was probably about 4 years from when I first decided to really, really take hiking seriously. Mm.
So
Yeah.
now that you're doing this, are are you encouraging other women to do this, or how does what you're currently doing play into what you were talking about before with your realizations of when you looked in the mirror?
Am I encouraging women to take early retirement and just take off and live in some converted old mill in Scotland? Um, which is actually really quite beautiful, actually. I'm encouraging women to to get out of the confines of their house and go for a walk and just experience nature and try for those resilient things. Go and find a waterfall. Buy a little tent. Buy a little tent and a backpack and spend a night out in out in the wilderness. And I used to do that. I would take a little bit of wine and I would take some cheese and some crackers and, I'd make myself quite a little sort of like, sampler and I would sit there and I would read a book or journal and just out in nature. And then, I'd go back home to the hustle and bustle and then work on Monday and I kind of feel like I would go back to work, sit down at my desk and I would just be, oh, I I don't need to work anymore. I was at a position where I didn't need to work anymore, and that was the deciding factor for me. I want to enjoy my life. I want to enjoy my life now. I see so many of my contemporaries who are working, and they'll be working until they're 67, 70, and I don't think we don't have these, our bodies aren't this active for the rest of our lives. I think I've got another 10, 15 years of doing this.
Well, what I heard in that is that so many people say, I will travel when. Yeah, I'll be happy when. I will do this when. And sometimes when, because it doesn't have a date on it, doesn't come. Or when actually happens, you're then not able to do things the way you would like to do them.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, depending on how we live and how we treat our bodies earlier, determines a lot of how our body will treat us later in life. But if we're not actively thinking about that and being intentional, then yeah, well, 70, 80, some people will, and I am speaking life into all the people listening, that you will, at those ages, be able to hike, travel, do whatever feels good to you to move your body and still be flexible and mobile and all those things. So I'm speaking life into that right now. But the reality is that everybody isn't going to have that opportunity.
Yeah.
I like that because you were able, and yes, we are not living in a land of, no, we don't need money.
Yeah.
That's also, a whole other piece of it. Podcast for another day is talking about money and how not to outlive the money so that you can actually live your life and enjoy it and still have money.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's the thing. But I think just being able to get out of the rut of, when your children leave home, a lot of women sort of they feel like a lot of women feel like they're lost. It's like, well, what now? I'm an empty nester. Will my children call me today? They're all off living their best lives. You might have a husband who you might still love him or you might not. And but your life, some people do not embrace that the middle-aged life. They kind of feel, now what? And I just want to I suppose say to people that there is a
now. There is something else apart from just existing. And now that your children have left, and maybe you're retired, maybe you've had to take early retirement for some reason, maybe you've had a health scare. Uh, you know, life is very short, very, very short. And, and as I know, I said I have maybe another, 10 to 15 years. I mean, and I said, I'm 60 in 3 weeks. And on Monday, I'll be flying to Turkey to hike the Lycian Way, which is I mean, it's 350 kilometers along the southern tip of Turkey. And, and I want to wake up on my 60th birthday, overlooking the Mediterranean Sea and watching either a perfect sunrise or a perfect sunset, because I think there's places where I can actually see both. So yeah, this time of year, I think, right, because it's right at the very point of Turkey. And I couldn't think of anything better. Mm.
That sounds lovely. So I know we have a little bit of time left. So I know there's another thing that you wanted to talk about regarding house sitting.
Right. Okay. Yes. So, okay. So lots of people say to me, right, okay, well, how do you do this lifestyle? How do you manage to float around the world and hike in exotic destinations? Because let's face it, Greenland is fairly exotic. Maybe Turkey is as well. And where does all the money come from? When you do early retirement, you do have to be quite frugal, and we do it very, very, very well by house sitting. And what I have done is I have put together a set of courses using my corporate background that actually teach people how to get into it, how to write all your applications, and how to get accepted, and not only how to get accepted, but how to fulfill the house sit so well that you get 5-star reviews and you get invited back. So part of the problem I see with a lot of women who are in their, 40s, 50s, and, and they want to explore the world. I mean, it seems the most exciting thing in the world, but where do we start? And no, I can't afford to go on a tour. I don't have $5,000 to spend on a tour of France, Spain, and Portugal, and I mean, who does? I mean, that is, it's crazy money. And house sitting actually gives you a way of going to a place, maybe let's choose Nerja in Spain or Barcelona. I mean, this is actually where I have done it. So, and living in those places for 2-3 weeks, however long, you choose a house sit for, and actually shopping where locals shop, and spending your days walking the streets where locals walk, and going to the markets, and breathing in the same air that locals do. So it's a great way to travel, and I think it's really transforming especially for solo women, because it's safe. You don't have to go back to an empty hotel room every night. You don't have to try and look, feel uncomfortable in a restaurant, and, down in the hotel bar trying to eat a meal, and you're a one, I think it's called a one, at the table. You can basically cook a nice meal in a nice kitchen and have a glass of wine and not worry about having to find your way back to your hotel room that night. Really is a sensational way to travel. And if anyone's listening and they want to get into it, I can really recommend it as a great way to travel sustainably too. Mm.
So, is this on your website as well?
Yes, this is on my other website.
Okay. There's another website.
There is another website, yes. It's housesitting101.com. housesitting.com. And all the courses are on House Sitting Collective. So I'll be giving you all those websites as well.
House Sitting Collective. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here today. I think it was very interesting to hear, okay, right before I go, of course, because I got to say it. House sitting in Greenland?
I haven't seen any come up.
I'm gonna say, because I was like, of course,
No.
their homes there, but I'm thinking, did somebody really do that? So I know somebody else who thinks like me was thinking the same thing, so I had to get it out.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's been such a pleasure having you on the show today, and yeah, please visit her websites and check out the housesitting101.com because I think that could be. Okay, please say it out loud.
There is a discount for all of your readers if they want to take up any of my courses, and it is Sophia 15 for 15% discount.
Ooh, love that. Okay. So keep my name in mind, Sophia, and it's 15 for 15% if you want to do the courses. So yes, please visit and we will talk again soon. All right. Thank you
Okay.
so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.